for a short. All right. Hey, welcome everybody. We are back. We did not get put in copyright jail from last week. So
no, we're still free.
no word. No, that went through the radar. So anyway, welcome back, Mary Beth, and welcome back, Nancy from
Hi, Nancy.
We'll see how long Nancy can keep her mask on before she has to illusion us into looking at something else.
Before she has to suck our faces.
Exactly. So this week we're, with Lower Decks finally wrapped up. We thought we'd do a wrap up of the series and talk about the franchise as a whole. Now that Paramount that didn't last long as a whole. And we got probably some news. So let's get to the news first.
Yeah, let's just do a little tiny bit of news. Why do I already hear myself in feedback tonight? Great. It's gonna be one of those nights. Writer director Drew Goddard is set to write and direct a new Matrix movie. But okay, here's the thing, which is fine. Knock yourselves out. But here's the thing. Yesterday, 2 days ago, Will Smith shared the following, which caused fan speculation to run rampant. He reposted something. It said in 1977, the Wachowskis offered Will Smith the role of Neo in Matrix. And this was he reposted something that somebody else wrote, just so you guys know. The Wachowskis offered Will Smith the role of Neo in The Matrix. Smith turned it down. He chose the Wild Wild West, believing it was a better fit for him at the time. But the question remains, what would The Matrix have been like with Will Smith as Neo? And that post concluded with, "Wake up, Will. The Matrix has you," causing fans everywhere to go, "Oh my God, is he going to be in the new? Like, what is happening?" Well, everyone, we can relax. Luckily, sources confirm that Will Smith is not currently involved in any Matrix remakes or reboots at this time. What was he on about then? We don't know. We have no idea. I mean,
that's another franchise that doesn't need, at this point. No. I mean, it's still fresh and it's still good. At least the original is anyway.
Yeah. He may have a new album coming out. We don't know what he's doing. He may have just liked the post. We don't know. Very small update on director Sean Levy's Star Wars movie. Sean Levy's Star Wars movie is moving fast. They've offered the lead role to a well-known A-list actor. There have been rumblings about Daisy Ridley coming on as Rey Skywalker. So if that happens, it'll probably be a supporting role rather than the lead. I love almost all of Sean Levy's movies. I really love Deadpool and Wolverine. That was his. And I have very high hopes that he can pull off a good Star Wars story if he's familiar enough with the material. In other Star Wars news, some Skeleton Crew characters or a character may appear in the Dave Filoni Star Wars movie. And I'm okay with that. That's fine. I'm still enjoying Skeleton Crew. It's going to wrap up.
From what I watched of it, I'm okay with it because if you're watching it, I mean, it's a kid's show. It's clearly a kid's show, and I'm okay with it because it's like it's not taking itself too seriously.
Here's the thing.
So,
the battle of the kids shows: Star Trek Prodigy, Star Wars Skeleton Crew, Star Wars Skeleton Crew all day.
Oh yeah, Skeleton Crew is way better in my opinion. I know a lot of people love Prodigy and argue with me about it being a kid show, but it was sorry, and it just didn't grab me. I've never been a Janeway fan. Maybe that's why. So but from what I haven't watched, I've only watched about 3 or 4 episodes of Skeleton Crew. So, but what I've seen, it's entertaining. It's entertaining. It's kind of like you don't need. They're not trying to. I didn't get the fact there was an agenda behind it, like they're trying to push some stupid narrative. So I think that's probably what works best. So hey, I want to do some shout outs. Hey Chris, thanks for joining us today. Doc Alexander, of course, and hey Fez, look at that.
Fez is here. Hi Fez.
How's Tennessee?
So, Rizzo, that's all I have for news tonight. What are we drinking?
Okay, so this one I kind of cheated because I just grabbed the whole graphic But this is the Orion Hurricane. I know it's hard to read, but if you go to the Facebook page, I did put it in there as a separate graphic. There's quite a few things in here. There's vodka, tequila, gin, white rum, dark rum, green curacao, melon liqueur, and some fresh lime juice, I believe. So that'll kill you.
That's a lot. That is a hurricane.
It's an ounce of each of those. So that's like an
ounce of each. So it's a drink like this big when it's done.
Yeah. So it might be worth. I wonder what it tastes like. I don't know. If that's. I think that's a one and done though. Somebody makes that. I don't have green. I have blue curacao.
Well, when you put it together, it actually flames up, and then it.
Ooh, what are you drinking?
Dave has one of the best, amazing glass collections, particularly Star Trek glass.
His glass collection needs to meet your bar.
I think yours surpasses James, does it not? In glass stuff,
it's not a competition.
It's not. That means it is. That means it is better than James.
I haven't, in terms of original series, I don't know of anybody who has some of the things I have. I don't know. You know.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to have stuff that he doesn't have.
Yeah,
it's actually very good to have stuff that he doesn't have.
Okay. So, all right. So Lower Decks, it wrapped up. First thing I really want to talk about, of course, there are going to be spoilers. Those have not seen the last episode.
Yes, there will be spoilers tonight, guys.
So if you haven't watched, basically it's a 2-part finale, and we get to see our characters from different universes split up. So the idea, the whole storyline is that there is a multiple universes, parallels. We know there's the mirror universe, but there's more than just one, and they're all just variations on of course what we like to think of as the Prime universe, but it's just one of many. And we kind of see for a very brief moment the indication that the Klingons from Discovery are different, are from a different universe than our Prime universe. And this set the internet, the Star Trek internet, aflame.
Aflame, yes.
Because all the people that hated Discovery, hate all that of that universe, immediately said this decanonized Discovery and Strange New Worlds and anything attached to it. Of course, powers that be at Paramount basically said no, that's not the case. But one has to at least agree that it clearly at least implied, because we have as Lower Decks is canon, whether you want it to be or not, it is.
We want it to be. We like Lower Decks,
and it clearly showing that Discovery universe is a different universe than our Prime Star Trek universe. And I don't know. What do you guys think? That's my opinion, and I know other people have come to that conclusion, but that's whether they intended it or not. That's what we got.
Dave, what do you think?
Well, okay. So this brings me back to a little PTSD about Discovery, and that's effing with the Klingons, which was the biggest thing for me. Is that, we already had the Klingons changed, and then they tried to just change them again, which I thought was terrible. I didn't personally like Discovery, but there are people who love it, and I respect that that's their Star Trek, So I don't like the idea of decanonizing it for the sake of hate. But it did just make a big mess of everything and just went all over the place. It brought up this whole stupid freaking thing about the Klingons and having to change them, and having them have this strange new language. And I just hated it. I hated it. I
mean, I agree. I think, the argument, of course, to that, the counter argument was, well, they changed Klingon several times. The original series had one, and then we got to the movies, they were a little different. Then we got to Next Gen, and they were different until they finally settled on what we considered the true form of the Klingon. But, my counter argument to that counter argument is they were still learning when the original series, they were kind of a development. It was kind of a feeling themselves out, of how things. Nobody knew, of course, in the 60s that this show would go on and the franchise would go on. So it was kind of a development. But by the 90s and Next Gen, we had established this is what a Klingon looks like.
Right.
And
yeah, and
I agree with you that to change it was ridiculous. Of course, now we notice in season 2 they tried to pull it back, and then they tried to come up with some ridiculous reasoning that these are another faction of the Klingons. They're not the same Klingons that we're used to.
Yeah.
So what I found that I think Paramount started to do, particularly with season 3 of Discovery, and I know we're not here to talk about Discovery, but is sending them 900 years in the future was them realizing we screwed up. We should have never made this.
Let's just get the F out of here.
Show. Let's send them so far into the future that
they're irrelevant. Kind of irrelevant. Yeah.
But, this whole thing around this brings out some of the stuff. I like Strange New World, but what I don't like is when they have to like take the Gorn and make them different, and then make us
just go Strange New Worlds changed the Gorn.
Yeah, I mean the Gorn are the Gorn, man.
I agree. I mean, we could do a whole show on that, and I was so aggravated because why? Again, there was no reason to retcon.
There isn't a reason. Yeah,
just make a new alien. It's a new alien, and it screwed up canon because we know that from Arena that they had never met a Gorn before.
So if you take, for me, full circle a little bit, what this does is bring back to why I love Lower Decks, because they play with everything a little bit. They make a little fun of all the, because they put that, I think they put that in there for the fun of it, because they know it's a thing. Okay. And so there's all these jokes in the episode, but it's also reverent to Next Generation. I mean, I love Lower Decks for that reason. We get to play, have fun, make a little fun of ourselves, and yet be real Trek. I love it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, let's face it, we love seeing things like, I liked seeing Garak and Bashir. I liked seeing T'Pol and the Kims running around together. Like
that was another argument that it was brought up, the Bashir and Garak thing, and people going, see, they were gay all along. It's like, no, they weren't. It was we're talking about, these are different universe people. Garak was in love with T. What was her name? The other, remember he was in love with another.
That's right, the
Cardassian. Yeah, and then y'all, I think, or was that, I don't know, whatever. And then Bashir was like a wolf. Remember, he was trying to hit everything that moved.
He was hit on the Tefaro Dax for a while.
Yeah. So I'm like, no, they're not gay. It's like, and even if they were, it's fine if they were gay, but they're not gay.
In this universe, they gay. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, Lower Decks leaned into like, here's all the franchises, just pick random characters and throw them together, and I kind of am there for that. But as far as I have to admit, guys, I have multiverse fatigue. Every show and its cousin is doing a multiverse, and I'm kind of over it. This is one time where I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll allow it, because I feel like the whole portal thing at the end and this multiverse thing at the end set up a solid wall. It is forever divided now. Disco and all that stuff is on one side. Our stuff is on the other side. There's a nice little door, so we can maybe go back and forth sometimes, but not too often. And it is forever. Never shall they meet.
Right, exactly. So you keep your Discovery and whatever else you want over there. Don't mess with our original canon timeline, please.
Well, then you got Abrams and.
Well, the thing is,
I'm gonna throw Kelvin stuff over there too.
I want to get into this a little bit, but before we. The thing is that now that Paramount and CBS have once again recombined, I think Paramount is. I'm hoping Paramount is going to try and correct the ship. I want to see a pink slip for what's his name there, Kurtzman, because I think I'm really laying all this at them because it's really suffering. To me, they really screwed up a franchise. With trying to reinvent it, which is fine, but they alienated so many of the people that would watch this thing. By trying to get new people, and I'm sure they did get some new fans, but you lost. How many did you lose in the process? And,
exactly.
And I think I'm hoping somebody at Paramount sees this, and because I don't think Kurtzman just had this vision of his own, and I don't think he understood the franchise. I don't think he understood what Star Trek really meant. There used to be a time when people would watch Star Trek and it would make them, they see Scotty and it makes them want to be an engineer. They see Dr. McCoy, they want to be a doctor. Those type of things. You always heard those stories. I don't see that happening with current Star Trek. I don't see anybody wanting to be, I don't know, pick a character and, I don't know. I don't see it because all they do is talk about their feelings.
I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, nothing inspires science. Remember, after all, this was a science fiction show.
Yeah, it's just become a lot of explosions and I know Strange New Worlds is okay. I watch it. It has some good episodes. It has some horrible episodes. It's not nearly as bad as it's not nearly as bad.
We did I think we did a best and worst of
we did some kind of balance. So we'll see what the new season brings. Of course, we have the Section 31 movie that's coming out at the end of this month. Michelle Yeoh got what, $12 million for this?
Something like that.
Movie. Yeah. I think she's laughing her way all the way to the bank on that one.
Pretty sure she is.
Because
I've seen the preview.
For a straight to streaming movie.
Straight to streaming movie. Well, that's what happens when you win an Oscar.
Yeah, exactly. I said that's why it's not a TV.
Need that cash.
Remember, it was supposed to be a series.
Yeah, I've seen the previews. I don't know.
No, I don't know, and I'm not optimistic, but we'll see.
I was more excited. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, so let's just swing things back to Lower Decks.
Lower Decks.
So, I mean, some of the things like you were talking about that they did make canon that I loved. The little things, the Spock helmet with the rotating red thing, it just was in there. Now it's canon now. The Tom Paris plate, which is I'm like now. So of course now you can't find because that's a real thing. You can't find the Tom Paris plate. Probably was the one that nobody gave a crap about until it was on Lower Decks. Now everybody wants the Tom Paris plate.
Fabulous.
I wish I could. If I want one now, I want the Tom Paris plate. So little things like that I just love. The stupid thing about the tricorders. Different versions, and this one's the better one. And it's just with the engineering stuff, it's just hysterical. And of course, the whole premise of the show is great in the sense that this isn't a flagship. It's not even near a flagship.
Yeah,
this is like one of the. It's like a tender in the Navy or something. It's like a fueler.
But could you hear the fatigue in Carol Freeman's voice getting on near the end where she's like, well, another ship's going to come along and deal with this, right? And they're like, no, you're the only one.
Yeah, that was great.
And they're like, okay, we can deal with it if nothing else happens. And then, boof, the Klingons appear. And you're right. That was genius.
Well,
not a flagship.
They hit the ground running with the very first episode called Second Contact.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very important. We have to go back a year later or whatever and make
somebody goes,
contact. Set them up with their what they call their phone number and everything.
It's so good.
Make sure they got the planet spelt right.
They did a lot of amazing things. They did a few things that I'm wondering if it could possibly come back to bite them in the ass. Like they really dug into Orion culture with Tendi, and she's the mistress of the winter constellations. And so now I'm wondering okay, that's all canon now. We're gonna have to obey that in the future. You know what I mean? How's that gonna work?
I don't know. They haven't really. None of the series have really delved. I mean, a little bit Discovery into the Orions that much.
A tiny bit. Disco did with that one. The
a little bit, but it was again. We don't really count that.
But so
Enterprise was the closest. Enterprise did the most, I think, with Orion.
Right. But they did more stuff with Shram. With the
they did a lot, again, because
then the Orions.
Yeah, well, the Orions again
were relegated a lot to just beautiful dancing green girls. That was all you saw.
Did you watch Enterprise? Because we found out that the little green kids were the ones that were running the show, and the men were actually the ones that were the slaves.
Yes, that's true. And then Tendi's stuff kind of doesn't completely follow that exactly.
Yeah,
I guess it does. She did have a dad. Her dad was doing stuff, but I guess it was up to
her and her sister that was pretty much running the show.
Yeah, it's hysterical.
So that again, that was established on Enterprise.
Everything else.
Yeah.
And but like you said, there's so many little Easter eggs and little things that are now canon. But I have always said, and I will continue to say, you have to know Star Trek inside out and backwards in order to really get Lower Decks and to really pick up everything.
Well, yes and no. I think there's enough humor in there that somebody with a mild awareness might find it funny. But but you're right. You're absolutely right. The more you know about Star Trek, the more you know
Yeah.
about the little things.
Yeah,
Is
if you
when
know
you
Next
really find
Generation,
out how great it is.
you would get a lot of it. But if you know the rest, and you're going to get even more. And the original series stuff was hysterical.
It was hysterical.
Yeah.
But they weren't afraid to lampoon. Like, I mean, they lampooned everything from, you know, the OG right on up to like.
Yeah, I mean, I think the funniest line that literally made me do a spit take. I think I was eating when I was watching it. Is when the one guy goes, "Wolf 351 was an inside job."
For me,
and I think
I laughed the hardest actually on the crossover episode with Strange New Worlds when Jack Quaid, who plays what the hell's his name?
Boimler.
He gets to get on the horse and he's like, right.
He does the right he does the right
kind of stuff. Like those little nods are so what drove it for me. Just drove it. So good. So good.
The crossover episode was fun. Yeah.
It was, you know, and it's funny because it was so controversial. Some people were like, you know, oh, it was stupid. I hated it. Whatever. Like, and it's like,
no, it was hilarious. You know, it was hilarious. Stupid. The singing episode of Strange New Worlds. That was stupid.
Yes.
Oh, that was awful.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
It was just the worst.
You mean
where's
singing
Phil? Because Phil loved
Strange New Worlds episode? Or
the Strange New Worlds music.
No, the worst. I know it's off top. The worst one was the one that was like the fairy tale.
That was bad too. That was Christina Choi. The singing one and the fairy tale one were both Christina Choi going, I want to bring my dog on set and I want to sing in an episode. Like, I feel like she drove those and just was like, we're doing this. And they were all like, oh, okay.
By the way, I've met her. She's awesome.
Is she really? Because I was annoyed with her.
It
was really annoying.
She was like in Vegas. I saw her, and she's like, and people said, yeah, she'll like play music.
Christina.
What?
Christina.
Christina Chong. Yeah. She's so they're doing autographs. You know, if you're ever in Vegas, they're just like all on tables, kind of. She's got music playing, like whatever, back behind her table, and she gets up and she starts dancing. Apparently, at one of the conventions, she was up on the table, like dancing, like. She was like go-go dancing on top of the.
I'm so sorry. She's so introverted. Did you call her baby drummer?
Clothing that's very attractive to her. So it was a very nice moment.
Oh, good. Did you call her baby drummer?
No, I did not call her baby drummer. I was unusually speechless around her because
she must be really out there.
Sorry, I got a thing for her. I'll admit it.
You had such great photos of. I mean, the lower decks people. You got to meet a lot of people.
You could have
Yeah, I did. I got to meet. I get to meet Tawny Newsome, and
awesome.
I got to meet Eugene, who plays
also awesome. But we know him from Tacoma FD too.
Yeah, so just I think so. I'm talking to him, and because he was on Tacoma FD, which is another one of my favorite shows, not on anymore, of course. And I said, and I was talking, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we had so much fun because those are the Broken Lizard guys that do Super Troopers." So it's very funny, and of course he's like, "Oh yeah, we had so and I said I still say everything. My wife, well, it's so soft if you watch this stuff." So then he starts going soft, and we're both going back and forth, going so soft.
You're actually having a moment with Eugene Cordova.
Well, because I don't know how many people because he did have a picture of him from when he was on that show. Of course, I got the Rutherford one, but they were right next to each other. Him and I wish there was more lower decks people there.
I was so jelly of when you got to meet them. That was super cool. Yeah.
Well, when I went to Ottawa like a year and a half ago to the Ottawa Comic Con, I primarily went because Tawny was going to be there and I wanted to meet her. And then at the last minute, she had to bail out for something. And so it was great that she was there. And they weren't there the whole weekend. Luckily, I caught it. Luckily, they were near Mark's booth there.
Yeah, I want to meet her. Oh, they were near Mark. I want to meet her. And I want to meet Jack Quaid because I want to be like, dude, tell me about the boys.
Right. Right. I know. Well, I got the picture I got. It's from the live version, the crossover episode.
Yeah.
And it's Tawny and Brad there. Yeah. And so I'm like, I'm gonna pick this one in case I ever get to meet him and I get him inside the other side. So that's what like my Shatner and Luna one is like that. So Shatner and Luna on the same.
Had you been to Vegas, Star Trek Vegas before, or was
once before?
Once before. Mary Beth, have you ever been?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
went.
you went the
year.
1 year I went. Yeah, the first time I
Yeah.
went, you were there.
I've never been, so I gotta go.
Oh, it's a hoot. It's
What
a hoot.
autographs of these people? It's a great one to go because they're almost all there.
Everyone's
Yeah.
there. Like every
Well,
time you turn around, you're running into another.
I don't
Well,
collect
I went-
autographs at all.
Oh wow! Look at them all.
I got Jeffrey Combs. That was
Yeah.
another one that I really wanted.
No.
So he was a nice guy. He wrote something about being. I said put something about pink. If you were again Enterprise
Yeah.
about pink skin, he always called the
There's
humans.
more
pink.
there. More up here.
Whoa, you've got tons and tons and tons.
Yes, mine's in the stairwell. Dave kind of gave me the idea though when I saw his because mine were always just in a stack.
I wanted them out because they mean each one of these
Yes.
people I met, and especially the original series, they're like part of our childhood. You just
Yeah.
wanna,
I have mine in the stairwell that goes up to the second floor. So every night as I'm going upstairs,
you
Yeah.
touch each one.
I get this.
It's like an
Grin on my
episode of
face.
Monk where you
Because
touch
one of my favorites is the
post,
one directly in front as you go up the stairs is Alan Tudyk.
Oh, Alan.
And so
Good night, Alan.
it's me and Alan Tudyk. I got the photo op and with the dinosaurs from Firefly.
That's the
And,
one I really
Oh
liked.
yeah, I've
Yeah.
got some Firefly up there.
You
Yeah.
had
Hey,
one with you and Isaac, Jason Isaac, and
did
it was like a two.
yeah. Oh yeah, I have that one. Yeah, Jason
Did it-
Isaacs and Rainn Wilson.
Oh, Rainn
after
Wilson.
the last two episodes, did either of you have a strange desire to take an existential bubble bath?
No, can't say that.
No? Really? There was that great scene where they were talking about how it was like the Klingons said that all these multiverses were like bubbles in a bubble bath.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I
Yeah.
thought that was hysterical, I haven't taken a bath.
We
in
should just
years.
run around and pop them all.
Yeah, no,
Those
that
ones
doesn't mean
they're
I
all
haven't
popping.
showered, but I haven't taken a bath in years. Hot tub, yes, and I was tempted to just get in there.
I can't
Sitting
say
there
the
loading
last
the
time I
bubble
had a
stuff.
bubble
Yeah,
bath.
and
You're like,
experience
look at
the
all the little
multiverse.
universes.
It kind of makes sense though.
It was a great allegory. I thought it was hilarious that a Klingon was into it.
The other thing I loved about this episode is they brought back. Not only did they bring back like Bashir and Garrick,
Yeah, everybody.
like we saw T'Pol from Enterprise. Now,
Yes.
Jolene Blaylock has cut herself off from Star. She doesn't go to conventions. She doesn't. She's living her
Yeah,
family.
right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great that she came back because I'm
She
like,
did
that's
work.
her. That's really her.
Yeah,
voice.
and they brought back the cream, but they didn't have it on her. But the stuff you put on that.
Oh yes, the gel. Yeah,
The gel, sorry.
biometric
Oh
gel
yeah,
that
so they have to
would
rub
put in the price to
themselves
get it
Yeah,
down
done.
with.
it was mentioned briefly at the end there. It started.
Yeah, put the gel on. Yeah, well, again, I love it that Deep Space 88 or whatever it is, it's a station.
Yeah,
88,
yeah,
uses Star Trek Enterprise uniforms.
yeah.
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 Well, the thing is so old and it's all like kind of analog, like it's not digital anymore,
Yeah.
which is why they parked it there because
See,
it's not
that's
effective.
another great tag in because it was such bullshit that they were promoting sexuality to get you to watch the show, and they have a Vulcan spreading gel over a human, and come on, and so it's funny, and they bring it back. I mean, it's just so good that they bring back the gel.
Well, let's be honest. Star Trek isn't
Well,
before that had done plenty of cheesecake moments.
yeah.
Yes.
Roddenberry was not.
Yeah, I mean,
No, 7
we
of
have plenty
9.
of- I mean, there's
Right
7
on.
of 9 was a good example, but I mean, we have plenty of. You go back through any of the episodes,
The girls
the
were
women are
around
all
the scans
scantily
back in the
clad.
day.
a lot of scantily clad women, a lot of sexual innuendos, a lot of boots being put on after sitting on the bed. Come on.
Naked weddings.
So, I mean, to poke at Enterprise for that is, I think, kind of,
It's just
Yeah,
funny.
but it
that-
was-
I mean, Dave's right. It's just funny that it was a callback because
Yeah,
like I
absolutely.
said, you have to have known Enterprise in order to get that joke.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I enjoyed Enterprise, but the stretch of the sexuality of that moment for me felt outside canon for me,
oh, really? When T'Pol and Trip?
A lot of
Yeah.
people got mad at Enterprise because they portrayed
Oh,
the
Lord.
Vulcans in kind of a bad light.
Oh.
Well, I don't consider it bad. I just don't think it felt out of character for a Vulcan.
Well, but they were saying originally they really made them come across as assholes, and they were kind of being. I mean, like what I'm saying. But they explained it all how there was a bit of a power struggle on Vulcan.
they kind of explained it within her character too. She's meant to be spying, or I don't know what the hell she's meant to be doing.
She was like keeping an eye on them.
Yeah, she's keeping an eye on them. But then as she worked with them longer, she's like, okay, these guys are just idiots.
Well, we're not here to talk about Enterprise.
Yeah, back to the lower decks.
I'll talk about the gel then.
Okay. The gel was funny though. There was a lot of little things like that.
Yeah. It was hysterical.
Starbase 88. That's what it was. Starbase 88.
Yeah. So come on, there you are at the end, and you got a new crew, which is going to be a new ship. I mean, it begs for a spinoff. Begs.
Well, really, the crew's the same, right? Because it's just Ransom now as captain, and the
two girls as the science officers.
Yeah, two girls as the science
Mariner. Same ship. Sorry.
Yeah. Talin, by the way, Talin, I think is the Vulcan. She was a great addition.
Fantastic.
Third season
when they first introduced her, I was like, ugh, but
she was like the straight man all the time, but then she'll stick the joke in there.
Yeah.
Every once in a while.
But I mean, they set it up
to do. Spock would always stick in the he would every once in a while he'd have a little humorous comment, give a zinger to McCoy or something.
Everyone got really good resolutions, except they kind of did dirty. Eugene Curtis, they did Rutherford dirty. Like, right. I mean, he had the whole thing of taking off his implant or whatever.
Yeah,
but it didn't feel as deep or as big or as much as the rest of everybody else.
Well, he had a whole storyline, just like Tendi did, where we kind of found out he was actually a different person, and they reprogrammed him.
I remember that. Right. Yes.
Yeah. So there was that whole series, and then I think him getting the cybernetic part removed. Now I assumed that he didn't have an eye, but apparently there was an eye there. They remade a new one for him. So they didn't really describe why they took it out, did they? I don't remember. Did I miss that?
Because
it was kind of quick.
He fell out of love with the Cerritos, and then he's like, no, I just needed to see it through. I don't know. It was weird. It was I said, I don't think that was as strong a thread of story as the other kids, but whatever.
No, it just was. But he did have his story, which not everybody did, really. Other than Tendi, I think, who was also probably one of the more popular characters. I think she kind of endeared herself to a lot of people. She did. As an individual character. Because she was, I love the way she kept fighting her own family, her own history, or so to speak, her own, that she didn't want any part of the Orions, but she got to hold her back.
She had to. She was kind of a badass, and then she snaps right back to Starfleet because there's one episode where she was running around with her sister, and then the next episode she's back in Starfleet, and she's like, boom, right back to. I was like, wow, that's a quick 180.
Right, but she was again. You talk about she was put in there for the kind of the nerds. She fits that
her and Rutherford.
Nerdy hot girl.
So are they relationships? Because at the very, very end, Talin was like, oh, I did not know you two or whatever. And they both like, oh, we're not. But you could kind of tell Rutherford was like, we had a little art. And Tendi was like oblivious, just clueless.
Yeah, like, they were
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The entire, all the seasons.
They would lay in the Jeffries tube on top of each other.
They were constantly like, you were
so good.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I think the very first episode, Rutherford has a date with somebody else, and it looks like they're going to end up, he has his, the very first episode, he has his date with this other girl who's kind of, I think she's a trill or something, and he's like all, but he's so focused on engineering stuff that eventually she's like, wait a minute, okay. He's like, instead of kissing her, we got to go recalibrate the, something stupid.
Yeah.
And so it didn't work out. Like, it didn't work out. Everything, he didn't care. He never cared about anything.
So funny.
Yeah. There was a lot of that. I mean, you had Mariner and Boimler with their thing too. So
I never got that Mariner and Boimler was any kind of attraction beyond friendship.
Mariner had a fling with Ransom at one of the seasons.
She had a girlfriend for a while too.
She had a girlfriend for a hot minute there.
Right. Speaking of,
she had
engage the core was so funny. Okay, engage the core. I had me dying.
I love that. I love it. I think it's genius.
Engage the core.
Genius. Engage the core. Coming from our
because Ransom had his moments because
Pilates meets warp core.
I love the episode where the two of them are on the planet They're like stone, like the crystal. The whole planet is society's based on crystals or something, and they accidentally screw up and give them a wooden artifact, and they get insulted, so they get arrested, and then they're like in the little prison, and they have to fight. They have to choose which one's going to fight this big giant, guy for their freedom, and they're both fighting about who's going to fight. Because they want each one wants to do it.
Lower Decks, like the episode that was the Carbon Creek knockoff, where they were down on the planet for like a year, when Up in the thing, Boimler and Rutherford were just frantically cleaning.
Not only that was like a Carbon Creek, but that was again another ripoff of the Voyager episode, where time was moving much faster on the planet.
Yes.
Than it was up on the ship. So that was definitely a nod to that episode.
Where Lower Decks was at its best. Like it was genius. Like all the stuff that was going on down on the planet, like the one there's always a native who's lurking, like the one lurking native. And like why? What was he like? What was his ultimate? We don't know. And then they're up on the ship, like frantically trying. Like I don't know. That
was just he was nosy. He kept catching them, and then eventually nobody believed him because when he left, right? If I remember that was this season, wasn't it? That was this last season.
Yeah, that was just this last season. Yeah.
So I guess Digigal is on with us. I see.
Sharon. That's Sharon. Yeah. How you guys doing? Thank you for joining. Thank you for Dave. You brought a few people along with you.
Who's watching on Facebook and who's watching on the Tube of You?
Most people are on Facebook, at least we got. I can look actually. I can check and tell you what the breakdown is if you're really interested. 4 are watching on YouTube and 5 are on Facebook.
9.
Oh yeah,
9 folks tonight. Welcome.
So.
Welcome. Sorry, I'm coughing at you.
So last week, Dave, we did Plan 9 from Outer Space live.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
We commentated. So we got kicked off of Facebook for
but we have a workaround. We think we know we've solved that.
Oh, you got kicked off for copyright?
Yeah, but it's in the public domain.
It's public domain, so we shouldn't have.
Yeah. Hey, another line I liked from the last episodes was so fun when Freeman said, "All hands brace for weird." I want to keep that. That's a good line,
That is a very good line. Yeah.
All hands brace for weird.
There was even in that whole scene where they were going through those different waves and it kept changing
the ship.
And of course we saw a Galaxy class in there, and what was the other, whatever the Enterprise E was. I forgot what class ship that was. Sovereign class, I think. Is that what it was?
I don't remember. Yeah. They say a couple of the classes, but now I don't remember.
I think the E is supposed. I think the Enterprise E was a Sovereign class. But I mean, I was almost hoping that at when it had to do their thing, that it ended up staying as like, I don't know, like the Titan or whatever, whatever those that so it ended up being a bigger, badder ship than the Cerritos was, but
right.
It didn't. It went back to the old Cerritos. So California class.
I want a T-shirt that says "All hands brace for weird." I like
brace for weird.
That would be awesome. I have the back in the first season. They had that choo choo. I have that choo choo T-shirt.
Well, I mean, look at the other thing. I'm wearing the shirt, the Cetacean Ops. I mean, that is freaking
right. That is so good.
They have the. That's why I saw the sweatshirt. I'm like, I gotta have it.
Who was it they thought was hot?
Which again is a nod to Star Trek 4.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the dolphin scene was hysterical, and the dolphin's like, "I think that Klingon's hot."
Yeah.
It's so good
because they've done that a couple of times. What was the other thing? I just had it.
What was that?
They did something else. It wasn't. I was going to talk the self-aware, computer.
Oh.
The AI computers that are both megalomaniac.
Oh yeah, they're all packed away.
Yes, the maniacal computer storage.
That was great.
That was really fun. That was like in our face every week. The opening, the opening sequence. Every season they would add, like, first it was just them against the cube, like season 1, against the Borg. And then season 2, it was them against the Borg and the crystalline entity. And then season 3, and by this last season, it was like the hand was in it. Like there were so many different enemies.
And they introduced a character that was apparently a half partial descendant of that race that that Apollo was.
Oh yeah, that's right. What's her
Yeah,
name? She had the Greek goddess thing on her head all the time. Yeah, I can't think of that character's name.
Hysterical. That was a funny, but yeah, in the thing, yeah, the hand, the green
hand.
hand.
And the Cerritos comes in and it just sees all of these things funny with it and is like, I'm out of here.
Once and says, we're out of here.
I hadn't noticed the pile up. That's great, Mary Beth. I'll have to check that. That's
another
little thing, It's great.
But what was I lost my train of thought and I had it and it's gone again.
Oh, sorry.
Dang it. Nope, it's
Easter
eggs. Talk amongst yourselves.
Train thought, anything helping?
There's no trains of the train left the station a while ago and we're it's just little things like that I think that make the show so special.
Oh my God, I love it. I'm so sad it's over.
They keep bringing up people like the one, was it season 4? Was it the end one? We find out it was Locarno. That's the bad guy. Remember Locarno from the guy that did from Next Gen episode? That was when Wesley was at the academy and they did the maneuver that got the one kid killed. The starburst or something that they weren't supposed to do, and he got the Locarno was the head of that flight group or whatever. That's how he brought.
Did you guys notice that over the season, Boimler's beard grew in and finally?
Yeah. Well, because he had the
it was so spotty.
He was trying to copy the alternate universe.
And Ransom kind of had one going at the end there too. I was like, oh, Ransom's trying to be like Riker.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Boimler was trying to do. Remember, he was practicing the Riker maneuver with the chair.
It's so hysterical.
He says, but and it's always those little things that made it special, was those little nods to whatever series they were going for. It was just hysterical.
Now, this is the thing I was pondering is like, how did they do such a sweet spot job of all of that, and yet I felt like it was like real Trek again, right? I was watching actual Trek episodes and enjoying them.
The way they handled the plot.
Yeah.
Even though we're laughing, even though there were jokes along the way, the way they handled the plot.
The way they addressed some of the stuff is stuff that we always kind of assumed, this is how it really is, but they're not going to do that on the regular TV show. Like we were talking earlier, like the holodeck. We all know that the holodeck isn't for training. We all know that like everything, every form of media, it ends up being for porn. So that's probably all. And then of course they make the comment where Beckett has to go clean the biofilters.
Yeah. Oh my God. That was hysterical. It was so good.
But that probably would have been a real thing.
Oh, so bad and so good. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, but it feels like, I was watching those last few episodes, and that was the thing I was thinking I was going to miss is this has been the closest thing to like some Next Gen or TOS for me.
Yeah. Because in a way, it's kind of like fan service. Like all these little callbacks, it just triggers our happy centers. We're like, oh yeah, I remember that. And so it makes you love it,
And we have to thank a lot to Dayton Ward, who was, hired to keep the writers on track with canon. And his job was to keep things, on the rails, so to speak.
Yes.
And he would tell you like, hey, he would read a script and he said, this is a good idea, but if you just change these couple of things, it'll fit the universe better. You know what I'm saying? It'll make more sense. Just change this to this. Otherwise, that kind of thing to keep, the show was clearly, I think initially it was a challenge to Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is very popular. I think it has a very similar feel to it in some ways. It's kind of
they have some, right.
But I think what happened was it turned into major fan. Like they realized this is for the hardcore fans. This is going to be, and if you can't find humor in it, and you find that, because I've run into people, and I will not mention their name, Darren Doctorman, who don't like this, and I think it's because they feel it somehow cheapens Star Trek to them. And I'm just saying, not me. I'm just saying I think that's the thing, that somehow making fun of it isn't right. Like you don't make fun of Star Trek.
Yeah,
Because Next Gen and Voyager, not, well, not Voyager, yeah, Next Gen, Voyager, and Deep Space Nine, but they were technically competence porn.
they were technically what?
It's something called competence porn. They were all ultra competent Starfleet officers. So, and I think a lot of fandom like that, and I think the lower decks of less competent Starfleet officers, I think that irks them somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I think that's what it is. I think in some people's minds, I think
they're on the lesser ship.
They're just I think some people. I'm not saying they're wrong because everybody's entitled to their opinion. But I think they take Star Trek is so important to them. It's such a that it's become bigger than life, and I think they feel that any kind of thing that might degrade it in their minds is not a good thing. And I think if you can't make fun of itself, and I think Star Trek has done that. We've had how many humorous episodes from the original series all the way through current, where they're kind of making fun of themselves. I mean, a piece of the action.
People were making fun of
the
it
action
for years.
Hysterical. Yeah.
Imagine conversations that nerds were having for years and years and years. Like, when they just sit around the dinner table, like, have a couple drinks, or sit like we do at the pub with a couple drinks and go, so you think on the Enterprise and those holodecks, like, you know what I mean? You start riffing on it. Next thing you know, you're like, oh, yeah.
Because that probably happens. I mean, well, we saw that a little bit with Barclay.
That planet, he talked to them. He said he sorted their, and then he just fucked off and then left them there. Like, yes, he did. Like those kind of conversations.
Yeah. There's been plenty of times that when you really break down episodes, you realize how bad they really are. Yes. Like, and I'm talking people that have favorite episodes, like as we know, Inner Light. Inner Light is like that one. Inner Light is probably the most biggest example of a horrible episode.
The
when you
logic
actually break it down.
There's no logic. There's no
break
logic.
it down. It's a bad episode.
These aliens, this is how they chose to. No.
That's one thing. And then if a guy lived his entire life in 20 minutes and then woke up and doesn't need therapy.
Right? No, I'm just going to pick up this flute and just.
I'm just going to play my little flute there and remember my family that I had for the last 70 years.
Remember all those people, entire civilization. Not going to tell anyone else about them. No. Just.
And the thing is, they kind of address that same thing. I don't know if you remember that. Again, I know we're off topic.
I think there was an Inner Light episode of this.
Well, in Deep Space Nine, there was O'Brien had committed some crime, and their way they did a very similar thing. Is they would send him to him to jail for like 20 years, but it was only 20 minutes in real life. And when he came out of that, he literally was screwed up. Like it affected him.
As you should be.
And it made more sense. We're like, this is what should have happened to Picard.
Yeah, right. Well, it did change Picard. Yeah.
So, I mean, it did, but I mean, it would just, and like Mary Beth said, it's like, so your civilization's dying. So you're going to send this one probe up and hopefully it's going to meet another alien that's compatible with this technology.
And the probe doesn't get destroyed.
And that's it. And then all you left of your thing is his memory, one person.
And so now he's the scribe.
So one person, and when he dies, that's it. The race is gone.
Unless he goes ahead and now it's like his job, whatever his other job in real life might have been, that's done. Now his job is to explain your culture to the rest of the universe.
Well, apparently he didn't do that, at least not as a lifelong career.
It was not the best thought.
No.
Yeah.
But
or
yet,
go to Vulcan and say, can you
that's one of those TNG episodes that people will tell you it's like it's the best one. It's so good, and it's just like when people fall all over a City on the Edge of Forever. And in my opinion, no, that's not the best TOS episode.
Well, it's
the good one.
It is a good one, and it's deep on Picard, and it plays on the whole doesn't have a family, doesn't do this, isn't a family person, then they get to totally live this other. Yeah. Wasn't there something about like this, like Mary Beth, weren't you saying? Wasn't there something in wasn't there a reference to this in
I think there was, but now I don't remember. It was a couple seasons ago. Now I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Let me try to.
Oh, there was there was a flute. They've mentioned the Inner Light, the flute, and on Lower Decks, it has been mentioned.
Yeah.
Bill Sotak, you are so wrong, Deanna. How often do we actually see Deanna do any actual counseling? I don't know. Every time we saw her counseling, she wasn't very good. I think she stunk as a counselor. I think I think she was better at telling Picard when he was being lied to. Like that.
Yeah, did Lower Decks do the inner fight instead of the inner light?
I know there was. I can't pin it down, but there were references.
I don't know
to that episode.
Yeah, inner fight. Which was it's for season 4, episode 9, the inner fight, and it was a direct.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there it is.
So again, poking fun at that episode.
Yep.
And again, there was the one thing. There was the one episode where there was all these weird holodecks, and there was like some weird stuff going on in the.
It was always weird. So brace for weird. Come on.
That's right.
Season.
All hands brace for weird.
But I mean, it was like there was like, parts of people naked that they had to block out. If I remember, it was.
Oh God, that's right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Everyone's naked with his 2 little legs sticking up this way.
Yeah. It was terrible. So,
well, that first episode, that was on the first episode with the Olympic weightlifters that were all naked. Is that what you're talking about?
That was one, but that's not the one I'm thinking.
This was they were partying, like they were like
partying,
partying.
Like they went to this one holodeck thing, and they're all partying. And
it was like they were spoofing.
Boiler was like naked with his ass hanging like up in the air. It was like hysterical.
They were spoofing the virus that makes you want to have sex with your coworkers, like that kind of stuff, which they did on Next Gen, pretty sure.
Right. Yeah, and they had.
Oh well, that was the that was the Naked Now,
and which was the Naked Time.
Now Naked Time. I don't know. Did they do it? They probably did something on.
Oh yeah, they spoofed it all. It was.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one too. I mean, that was great from the first episode. They were so irreverent on so many ways, but sort of that's the thing. It was irreverent, but honoring,
loving.
Yeah.
Playful. It was irreverent, but it never put it down or shamed it or said that was stupid. It didn't. It kind of giggled at it a little, but it still held it up as. But that's what happened, and so you know what I mean. Like it never. That's what it is, Dave.
Should put them in charge of the next live Star Trek episode.
One of the things that we have to mention, which is one of my favorite characters of the show, is Badgie.
Badgie. Yeah. Oh, I have
Badgie. Badgie was not even. Badgie was a reference. Badgie was a reference to IBM, and or was it Microsoft? Microsoft, I guess it was for the Clippy. Remember, you guys that grew up? Anybody that had computers in the '90s,
Clippy.
early 2000 was Clippy, the stupid little thing that would pop up on your screen and annoy you. That's evil Badgie.
I won't even focus.
Yeah, I won't focus, Badgie, but it's Badgie. So Badgie, of course, was like the version of Clippy for the holodeck, but of course it goes bad. And even at the very end, they had him working on something. And then there's Bruce's favorite. There's Happy Badgie. There's Bruce's. Don't forget the peanut hamper.
Oh, peanut hamper. Great. And then Bruce's favorite.
That's peanut hamper.
No, the thing that sucked your bones out.
Oh, that was yeah.
Moopsie. What was it called?
Moopsie.
Moopsie.
Bonk bonk in the head, Dave. Bonk bonk.
This is the room of
deep cut right there. That's a deep cut.
Oh, that's a deep cut. Yeah.
Where's Mary?
Frightening but true stories. Yeah, I mean, Strange New Worlds tries to do it too, but
sometimes
it's a little off game. Sometimes I think
the problem again. The thing with I guess not that I didn't already assume this, that those were in a different Discovery universe, as we call it. I mean, I always assumed, but now that it's kind of been established that this is not the same, because I mean, let's face it,
it hasn't been established.
It hasn't been. It is. To me, it's established.
It's like 3 seconds on the Lower Decks episode.
That the Klingons from Disco universe were from a different universe.
Different universe, yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, they're even is enough to establish it.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. There's a wall. Like I said earlier, there's a wall.
If you like Discovery or whatever, that's fine. Do your own thing. Love it. Just don't mess with my Star Trek, with my canon and my timeline. And again, I don't know why, in whose brain thought it was a good idea to even Enterprise. One could argue was not a good idea to even go back. But they handled canon far better than Discovery handled anything canon, and they were because they at least were 100 years separated from Kirk, so they had some leeway. But I mean, spore drives.
Yeah. No, wait.
Detached
That's something I like.
You like the spore drive?
Yeah, come on. If you the mycelium.
I think it would have been fine if it was 100 years past next gen.
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, I would have liked it if they had gone back and been pretty retro to the 60s. I think people would have loved it. You could have thrown a little.
Have Spock's sister, a contemporary of Spock, it should have looked like that era.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look how popular mid-century modern furniture is right now. And, you could just, people would go for it. Yeah. So
I agree. But Dave, I think that's our old guy talking. I think the people, the Gen Zers, would be like, what is this? This stuff looks like crap. They want. I understand where CBS and Paramount were coming from by trying to modernize the look of it, and it wasn't even the modernization of the look that it was just the messing with the storylines didn't match up. Nothing made sense. Nothing. Right. Where was Dr. Bryce on where is he now? Why is it M'Benga? Why is it M'Benga even there? That doesn't fit. Why is Uhura there? That doesn't fit either. It's all doesn't fit, and they're just like shoving it all together to try to make this somehow. And I don't know why they feel this desperate need to keep being connected to the original series. I'm like, you know what? Put yourself again, jump another 100 years or whatever, and start over again. And you can do whatever the hell you want.
Right. Instead of mucking it up. And Star Wars doesn't do stuff like this so much, right? They try to.
They just write bad stories now. That's the problem. They're not. The one thing I will say about Star Wars is they keep the look correct.
Yeah, they do keep.
They keep the universe looks right, but their storylines are just not very well.
Devices get rough, but the look is right.
Too much press pushing. Disney's just trying to push too much agenda.
Yeah.
And it's just not. Just write a good story and put the characters in and let everything else fall where it may. That's my opinion. Yeah. I hope Disney learned their lesson with Deadpool Wolverine. That if you make a show, make a film that fits canon, that fits what we originally has been established and is well written, it will do well. Don't stop trying to teach me something. Just entertain me. That's what your job is.
Right, which is what Lower Decks did for me. I was entertained. I had an episode that I could let go.
Yeah, you were entertained. You had a little bit of nostalgia, but nothing. You didn't have to stop and think. Wait, that doesn't fit in there.
When I'd watch it with my wife, and she'd be on whatever, she'd be never paying attention much, and something would happen and I would crack up because I would get the reference, and I'm laughing and she's like, what? I don't get it. And I'm like, it wasn't made for you.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what I was saying earlier. You kind of have to know the trick to get Lower Decks.
Yeah. I think you can watch it and be entertained if you don't know a lot about Star Trek. But I think if you're like us that have been watching it since the original series,
you're gonna catch a lot.
Everything up through.
And I feel like I know a lot, but I'll watch those like Trek Culture has really good recaps and they point out all the Easter eggs. Yeah. And there's stuff I don't catch.
Oh yeah, there's tons of stuff I'm sure I don't catch. The only thing is now one of the things, have they done any reference to Discovery? Aside from the very last one of those Klingons.
Somehow I think they have, but I'm trying to remember. There's so much.
Let me look. I feel like just the Klingons, but I don't know. Maybe there was.
I don't know if there's a mention of a spore drive. Of course, it wasn't supposed to be because that was all supposed to be wiped from the memory banks of Starfleet.
So complicated, yeah. Yeah, one Mirror episode spawned all this. God damn it.
Well, that was the second season. See, I think the first couple seasons of Discovery with the Klingons aside wasn't that bad. But once they got to the third one, it really the writing was just horrible. just terrible. And then I really threw something at the television when the Guardian of Forever was a guy named Carl. I literally had like a rag or something, or a napkin or something in my hand, and I wanted it. I was like, "What the?"
There were some episodes, Rizzo, that you and I, like the next morning, we'd be like, "What? What did we just watch?" Send.
So. Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Current Hollywood recreation of a story. Yeah, that works. I mean, that's okay. Like you said, Riz, if the storyline was good, I don't know if I'd care that they didn't match up the sets so much. If they did good writing and good episodes, I'd be like, okay, so the decks are white and
yeah.
like
I mean, I think Saturday Night Live actually did one of the best spoofs on it. And they had, and I can find it on YouTube, but it's hysterical. It's like, it's this, the bridges, they're being attacked. Things are exploding. They need to get something done on the bridge. And they're like, we need to get power to the warp. And then these two ensigns just come off the turbo lift, and they're talking about like their date from the other night.
I speak my truth. And they're like, we're falling into a black hole.
Yeah, but that was Discovery. Like the whole universe is collapsing around them, but they're going to have a discussion about their feelings.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it just kind of went, and then.
And yeah, for me too. Some people really love it, and that's cool.
I just don't feel it was very Star Trek, and it used to aggravate me, like even on Strange New Worlds, the way everybody talks back to Pike on the bridge during a crisis. Like they'll just question him.
Also,
no, that doesn't work that way. No.
He's really good as Pike, but sometimes they have him play just.
He's like a second fiddle.
This. He's awesome as Pike, but a lot of times he's relegated to standing in the back of the room making faces, which I do not
with
like.
An apron on.
With an apron on, making churros or something.
Yeah.
He's the comic relief, and that's not right.
That's not right.
The man went from Deadwood. No, I'm sorry. Hell on Wheels. The man went from Hell on Wheels to that.
Well, he was much better in Discovery Season 2. His character was much stronger.
He was a real person. Yeah,
he was much stronger. And then when they brought him into his own show, they kind of demasculinated him, if that's the right term. Demasculated. Thank you. Demasculated.
You're welcome.
At you, Gesundheit. Anyway, and I think it was just they just made him like this. I don't know, and it's not.
You better man up.
The other characters just talk back. It's not that they're saying they're joking around in a hallway. They're on the bridge in the middle of a crisis, and they're questioning something. He's like,
he goes, "How
really want to do that?"
Right.
But
you're right.
No, that's not how the chain of command works.
Yeah.
Well, chain of command was always kind of loosey-goosey on Star Trek. They were never sure what they were.
Well, you know what the chain of command is? The chain of command is the chain I go get and beat you until you do what I tell you to do.
Beatings will continue until morale improves. Yeah.
Totally
that was actually from Firefly. You know what the bloody chain of command is? The chain I go and beat you until I do what I tell you.
That's great. Yeah, but you're right, Mary Beth. It's just like he's not really the captain, or he's not the main character all the time.
He hosts dinner parties.
He is the second fiddle
in his gorgeous Benihana quarters.
The Benihana quarters, yeah.
God,
that's what he does. He hosts. He's like the Neelix of that particular.
Yeah, that's just fucked up and a waste of a good actor.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It was really like we're gonna get. Oh, great, we're gonna get Captain Pike, a nice strong character, and and it's just like, and I really, 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 really wanted them to put in Bryce.
Yeah,
I wanted to see more of that.
After 8 already.
Yeah, we're after 8. I really wanted to see it. So anyway, we're on. Maybe we'll do another show on Lower Decks. I mean, on
Strange New Worlds.
Who knows? We'll see. Maybe before they air the next season, which is
maybe before. Maybe we'll watch it and then all gather to complain.
Maybe, perhaps. Well, Dave, thank you for coming. Actually, I think we got some shout outs before we're done.
Roy is going to welcome a very special guest, someone named John Kenneth Muir. He has a new award-winning web series called Abnormal Fixation, and they will be discussing that. And Phil is doing a new music show tomorrow night, spinning some new tracks and stuff. But it's just a chill show, just music, nothing else going on. And I'm sure he'll be on Bill's show on Thursday and the Friday night freeform as usual on Friday, all on WUSB Stony Brook. So, Rizzo, what are we doing?
I don't know.
That's always the answer.
I'll come up with it over the weekend as I
Have
usually
we, well, Skeleton Crew will be done. We can look at that. And
Maybe
yeah,
we can do
we need to do something. Yeah, I don't know.
Mary Beth likes her series.
I do. I do
Theme
like
months. Theme month. We're already halfway through January though, practically. So
although January
maybe
does
February we'll do something. I don't know. We guys, we know I'd like some suggestions from the audience, but they usually don't give us any.
They do, and then you dismiss them because you don't like their suggestions. They've given us suggestions,
isn't it?
It is. It's your show. You guys can make suggestions to Rizzo, but
it doesn't mean I don't want them to keep making them because they might hit something.
Eventually, you might make a good
suggestions. I've taken suggestions.
Oh, Bill,
the like the 30-second reviews we used to do.
You mean the 3-minute ones we were doing on Strange New Worlds?
What show are we going to do a 30-second review though? Because there's nothing really coming out.
We should have done it on Lower Decks.
We could have done Silo. Silo's wrapping up.
I can't. I don't have Apple, and I was trying to use television with questionable legality, and my television with questionable legality is not working right now. So,
sorry. Silo's
pretty good. Thanks for inviting me, guys. It was fun playing.
Oh, you're welcome.
Good to see you, man. You haven't been here for a while.
Anytime. We always do Star Trek. So, this is kind of what we do. So, anyway, but yes, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. You were on. Now, those that don't remember, when we did Lower Decks the first time, like 3 years ago.
Way back.
We had Dave on. It was the only time Dave was on, was for that. So I thought, we're doing Lower Decks again. We have to bring Dave back. And for those of you who don't know that have been up to the tour, Dave has been one of the guys that builds some of those really cool toys that James gets to put on those sets, like the Tantalus Field.
So the Tantalus
and the little smoky thing with the
transporter
the transporter working. Him and Brian put all that together. So Dave's pretty.
And you were there putting up the green gel. That was a great.
The green gel. We have to always bring up my one little mistake with the green.
I didn't bring up the mistake. I brought up the mistakes happen.
But I fell forward because it was a mistake that I thought I made a mistake when I hadn't actually. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, Dave.
I enjoy making the little magic. I don't know. I enjoy making these magic fun things. They're fun.
Right. All the communicators at work. Those are great.
Yeah. Good times. Good times, you guys. Because we live in a fantasy world, and I'm going to
very much so.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep going farther and farther the next few years.
Yes, into fantasy, yes, we all are.
Few years.
We all are.
The next few
years. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm with
on
you.
that note, we will say good night. As always, live long and prosper, and
live long and
with you.
Prosper. Good to see you guys. Thanks for
good night.
playing.